if you're having a bit of FOMO and feel like you missed out on ClarinetFest 2024 in Dublin, then check out this video because I'm going to share sort of a recap of my experience so you can feel like you were there too. My name is Josh Gu, and I'm taking my years of experience learning, teaching, and performing and sharing all of my best clarinet and music tips so you can get more out of your practice and, most importantly, have fun. You can learn more about all of my many resources at quickstartclarinet.com, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell to get notified when I post new videos. So before we get into my specific experience of what I enjoyed and want to share with you from Clarinet Fest, I think it would be important to first actually talk about what it is, because I don't think it's very clear exactly what a Clarinet Fest is like. I mean, you assume that there's clarinets there and clarinetists there, but what actually happens at a Clarinet Fest? So the way it works is it usually takes place in some kind of like hotel, convention center, some kind of big venue with lots of different rooms, because there's like a million performances that happen over the course of the 5 days of the festival. So that's one component of it, is there's tons of performances of different people. Lots of college professors are playing, lots of very famous professionals doing all kinds of different fun music, and also students doing some performance too, which is fantastic. There's also lectures and master classes, so some of the really great players give master classes to really great students. There's also lectures on all kinds of different topics, ranging from equipment things all the way to sort of performance anxiety things and repertoire, everything in between, tons of different topics for lectures. There's also clarinet choirs that happen that anybody there can play in. So you get together, you get the music, you have a few rehearsals, and then you get to perform on one of the days. And then there's also a ton of vendors. So pretty much every manufacturer of clarinet things is there, it feels like. There's Van Doren, D'Addario, Bakun, Buffet, Selmer, Ubel, Leger. Literally any vendor or any clarinet equipment manufacturer you can think of is there, with equipment that you can try and experiment with and have fun with. So there's so many fun things to do, and that's probably the biggest thing of Clarinet Fest, is it's just an overwhelming amount of clarinerdiness and just the absolute pinnacle of geek fest of all these different things to do, from the performances to learning in master classes, playing in choirs, trying equipment. There's all the things to do. So let me talk about some of my favorite moments or sort of key takeaways from my Clarinet Fest in Dublin in 2024. First of all, Dublin was really cool, and it was a lot of fun to get to travel to Ireland and do some traveling there. And at Clarinet Fest for this year, I was a little bit on a mission to try a lot of mouthpieces and find a good mouthpiece that I liked. And I'll have lots of videos coming with that. So because of that, I didn't see as many performances as I did last year at my first Clarinet Fest that was in Denver, but I still saw a lot of performances. So I'm going to start with some of the highlights. Again, there's so many great players, and again, I saw a small fraction of the performances that happened there, so I'm sure there was tons of great ones that I'm missing. If you were there and there were some amazing performance highlights for you or masterclass highlights for you, absolutely share them in the comments so we can all live vicariously through each other if we weren't able to make it, or again, even if we were there and not able to make it to all the performances and lectures and things. But some of the performance highlights for me, I saw Nicholas Baldiru do Weber Concerto No. 1, and if you're wondering, with some of these great players, you see these amazing videos of them online. If you haven't seen Nicholas Baldiru's videos, absolutely you should look him up right now and check out some of his playing. Absolutely incredible. But sometimes you see these players live, or I don't know if I've ever experienced this with a clarinetist, but sometimes it happens with bands where they're almost better in the recording than they are live. Absolutely not the case for him. He's very good, dynamite performance, absolutely fantastic player, in person in real time. I also, on that same concert, that was the first evening concert there, there was a performance by Anna Hashimoto, who I wasn't aware of before, and she's an absolute gem of a clarinetist. She plays incredibly well and has so much spirit and soul and just energy in her playing. It was absolutely awesome to get to hear her as well. Another highlight from, I think it was one of the last evening concerts, Istvan Kohan played. Absolutely really fun guy. Obviously really great player as well, and fantastic performance. And I think the biggest highlight for me performance wise was the evening concert with Michael Lowenstern, who we all know Michael Lowenstern from the Ear Spasm YouTube channel, and he seems like a cool guy. He's even cooler in person. It was so fun to get to interact with him and see his performance. And again, I think sort of in the YouTube realm, we all know his YouTube videos. Like, I remember, I think the first video I ever saw of him was like a Cowboy Bebop cover on bass clarinet, which was so cool. He has that great September cover on bass clarinet with the multiple videos and all that stuff. Really cool. But if you aren't listening to his actual albums that are on Spotify and things like that, then you're absolutely missing out. So highly encourage you to check out Michael Lowenstern's recordings. I think just finding him on Spotify, it's the easiest way to sort of see all of that stuff. I imagine some of those albums are on YouTube as well, so you can just sort of look up the actual albums that he's released. Really cool music. Really fantastic performer. So those were, again, just some of the performance highlights. I could go on and on. But it was really fun to get to hear and see so many amazing performances. Now, getting into some of the lectures and master classes and things like that were happening, it was really fun to get to attend several of them, and some of which were really cool and interesting topics. Like, there was one on brain tracking, which I had never heard of before, which is very interesting, sort of getting into the psychology side of things and kind of healing trauma, especially performance-related trauma, was absolutely fascinating. I got to listen to the pedagogy committee give a presentation on several fundamental topics, which is right up my alley and absolutely the nerdy stuff that I like. Unfortunately, I don't think I saw any master classes other than the master class I was teaching with the enthusiast committee, but I heard a lot of the masterclass stuff that was happening from some of the other students that were there, and heard some of them. Oh, that's actually not true. I did see Michael Lowenstern's masterclass. That was one of them. A few of the other ones I tried to get into, but they were just so packed full and really popular events this year, which was awesome to see. But in the master classes, and from what I've heard from everybody else, is that the teachers were just so kind and supportive, which I think is beautiful. And one of the beautiful takeaways of ClarinetFest, both of the years I've been so far, is just everybody's so supportive. All these clarinetists are like-minded people. We're all just trying to improve at the instrument and get better. And yeah, absolutely. All of the teachers were really kind and really supportive, which was awesome. And another one of the takeaways, especially from some of my students who were attending these master classes, is they were saying, you know what, they say a lot of the same things that you say. So my takeaway from the master classes is that you should listen to your teachers, because your teachers have probably learned from great teachers and are giving you good information, and the great teachers say the same things. Use more air, good steady embouchure, light tongue, light finger, minimal finger motion, be musical, have more dynamic contrast. All of the advice is good from when you're just starting out all the way up into the very highest level. And there were some amazing players. Like, I think in the Istvan Kohan masterclass, there was like an 11-year-old girl who was just playing amazingly impressive stuff. So no matter what level you're at, what age you're at, the good advice is still the good advice. Last year in Denver, I actually didn't play in any of the choirs, but this year I played in the enthusiast choir, which was a ton of fun and a really fun experience. The music was extra challenging this year for the enthusiast choir, but also extra fun. And I think everybody rose to the occasion and tackled it. It's really fun playing in the choirs because it's literally like 3 rehearsals just one each day and then the performance, and having that short of a timeline to put together a like 20-25 minute program of music for a whole clarinet choir is a little bit intimidating and a little bit challenging, no matter what level the music or the players are at. But we all rose to the challenge and had a really, really great time with it. Two of the highlights from playing in the enthusiast choir this year was, one, getting to play a piece by Jonathan Russell, who is an awesome, really cool bass clarinetist who writes really fun stuff. The name of the piece was Evil Robot Spooky Space Jam, which was really challenging, kind of a little bit of a minimalist piece, kind of like heavy metal for clarinet choir at the same time, which was super fun. And the coolest part was we got to play it with him listening in the audience, and it's not often that you get to play music by great composers for those great composers being in the audience. So that was a ton of fun. And we also did a movement of a clarinet concerto with Hannah Schilvach playing the bass clarinet part. She was a ton of fun to play with, and it was really cool to get to perform with one of these awesome and inspiring players. So it was a great time all around. It was also great to get to play with so many of my students in the choir as well, which was just so much fun to get to make music together. And I'm really glad that there are these opportunities for everybody to play at ClarinetFest, because yeah, it's really cool to try the equipment. It's really cool to see the amazing performances, but to actually get to make music together is also a really special time. So the choir was also one of the highlights. Everything was a highlight. This whole video is about highlights. Hopefully it's not giving you more FOMO, but if it is, then be sure to go to a future Clarinet Fest. Next year it's going to be in Fort Worth, and I think it's going to be a really great one. And that brings me to the last sort of category of things, which is probably what I spent most of my time with this year. It was the opposite of my first year in Denver. I spent almost no time with the vendors, and this year I spent a lot of time with the vendors, which was great. They're also all so supportive. It is really amazing to work with people like Brad Bain and Richard Hawkins and Maury Bakun and see these people and get to talk with them and work with them and have them listen to your playing and recommend different things to try. And they weren't just doing that for me because I have a YouTube channel and am like known kind of sort of. They were also doing it for beginner players who were there, and they were also doing it for Nicholas Balderu and those super high level players that were there. And it was just so cool to have everybody just nerding out on the clarinet equipment, which is what the Geek Fest is really all about, right? So it was great to experience that and be with all of those supportive people. Like I mentioned, I tried a ton of mouthpieces while I was there. I think I played well over 30 mouthpieces that I was trying out. So I'm going to have a much more in-depth video on all of the mouthpieces coming probably next week or very soon. I got to try the Bakun bass clarinets, the Alpha and the Q. Both of them were fantastic. I think the Alpha is an incredible instrument, especially for the price point. I'll also probably have a video on that coming soon, and maybe we'll be getting my own bass clarinet soon. So stay tuned for that, but really, really fun stuff. The last thing that I'll say about the equipment is I also found out that ligatures still don't really matter. So I tried several ligatures. There were subtle differences from ligature to ligature for sure. There were some I liked a little bit more than others, but it was kind of that situation of I tried one and I was like, oh yeah, I like that, that's pretty good. And I tried another one and I was like, oh, I like that, that's pretty good. And I tried another one and I found kind of my top few that I liked, and I was going back and forth between them and thinking, I like that one a little bit better. And oh no, I like that one a little bit better. Oh, I like that one a little bit better. And I came to the conclusion, if as you're going back and forth between two, if you like both of them a little bit better, it probably doesn't matter that much, and you should probably just stick with one. And for me, after trying a lot of ligatures, I ended up just sticking with the ligature that I've been playing on because it felt just as good as any of the best ones that I tried there, at least. And of course I didn't try all of them because there was a bazillion ligatures and mouthpieces and clarinets and everything to try, but I think ligatures probably still don't matter. So that's my recap of ClarinetFest 2024 in Dublin. And I know this video originally kind of set out with curing your FOMO if you feel like you missed out. As I've gone through, I realize I very well may have you having more FOMO and feeling like you missed out on all this amazing stuff that I got to experience and that we all got to experience. And with that in mind, I'll give you one more little piece that was probably by far the biggest highlight, which I've kind of mentioned throughout, but it's really getting to interact with the people. Again, getting to interact with Richard Hawkins, Maury Bakun, Brad Bain, Michael Lowenstern, Michelle Anderson, all of these amazing, amazing clarinetists that I look up to and get to actually see them face to face. Also, tons of my students that I've only ever taught online, getting to see them in person, face to face, in 3D, as we were saying. Absolutely incredible, amazing. Getting to see friends and colleagues and former classmates and former teachers and all of those people there and getting to reconnect is really the most special part of it. So thanks so much to the International Clarinet Association. Thanks so much to Sarah Watts, Jason Alder, and Peter Siglaris for putting together this event and organizing everything, which I imagine is an absolute behemoth to organize. Thanks to the volunteers, of course, who make everything run smoothly, and some of them were absolutely amazing, running around backstage, keeping us all organized and really doing great work. It was such an amazing experience. I absolutely recommend everybody who's nerdy enough to be watching this video. You're probably nerdy enough to attend a ClarinetFest someday, so I highly encourage you to do that and check it out. And again, maybe hopefully I cured your FOMO, but probably I realize you're feeling like you missed out even more now. So hopefully I'll get to see you at a future ClarinetFest. Thanks so much for watching this video, and at the very least, I hope to see you in another video. And last but not least, a huge heartfelt thank you to the Dennersons. This is like the Quick Start Clarinet family who supports the channel and helps to make everything that I do possible. If you would like to support the channel and get some awesome rewards in return where we can work one-on-one over video and you can have my full support moving forward on your clarinet journey, then go to quickstartclarinet.com/supporter.